Commander Zethar stood silently on the bridge of his warship, eyes fixed on the endless stars beyond the viewport. His green scales shimmered faintly under the cold glow of the ship's control panels. The Rex Coalition had sent him here to observe, nothing more, to study humanity without interference. But what he was about to witness would shatter every expectation. The binary star system, Kepler-7, was supposed to be empty, just barren rocks and drifting gas. Yet his senses screamed a different truth. Fleets of ships calling out in distress. Human colony ships. Under attack. Commander. The communications officer clicked urgently in their native tongue. We're receiving distress signals. The humans are being assaulted. Zethar narrowed his yellow eyes. Humans, the galaxy's newborn species. Only 50 years into interstellar travel and already seen as weak. A species that fought among themselves, mourned their dead openly, and even cared for fragile animals. The Rex had planned to enslave them. They seemed pliable, soft, but now he would see them fight. The hive mind, the officer replied grimly. 20 enemy vessels. They're consuming everything in their path. The hive mind, an unthinkable terror, turning whole worlds into mindless drones. Every species trembled at their name. 12 human colony ships, 3 military escorts, vastly outnumbered. Zethar's spine tingled with cold dread. Yet curiosity held him fast. Take us closer. Keep us hidden. I want to see what humans do when faced with annihilation. The small human ships moved unpredictably, their weapons crude but coordinated. The colony ships lumbered slow and vulnerable, filled with families, children, the old. The military ships formed a fragile shield. The hive mind vessels were faster. Stronger human flight made no sense. But they did not flee. Instead, they formed the line of defense. Sir, they're holding their ground. It was madness. The Rex way was survival at all costs, run and live to fight another day. But these humans were standing firm, facing certain death. One military ship exploded into fire and metal. 2 more pressed on. The colony ships struggled to escape, but the hive mind advanced relentlessly. Then, a human face appeared on Zethar's screen, a captain, battered but unbroken. His eyes steady, voice calm despite blood and sweat. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the New Dawn. If you hear this, stay away. The hive mind is here. They've taken 3 of our ships. We can't stop them, only slow them. We have about 4,000 souls on board, families, children. Tell them we tried. Tell them we didn't run. Zethar felt something unfamiliar stir respect, or maybe confusion. This human was warning an unknown alien, even as his people burned. Suddenly sensors blared, hive mind ships converging on Zethar's position, and then a damaged human fighter, small and battered, charged toward the enemy. This is Lieutenant Amy Collins. I'll buy you time. Get out while you can. The fighter dove headlong into a ship far larger and stronger. Knowing death was certain, she fought not for glory, but to save strangers she would never meet. In that moment, something inside Zethar shifted. These humans were not weak. They were something else fierce, unyielding and terrifying in their own way. All weapons online. Prepared to engage. His crew stared, shocked. This was not the mission. This is not the Rex way. But Zethar's mind was made. Change orders. Contact Captain Morrison. Tell him we're here to fight alongside them. For the first time, Commander Zethar stepped beyond the line between observer and warrior, and everything he thought he knew about strength, fear, and what it meant to be dangerous would be forever changed. Inside the New Dawn, the scene was chaos, stitched with determination. Metal floors dented and scorched under Zethar's boots. Walls bore the scars of recent battles. The air smelled of smoke and something faintly human, unplaceable. Captain Jake Morrison met him at the airlock, bloodied and exhausted, but with a handshake that was firm and unyielding. Thanks for coming. I wasn't sure anyone would answer. Jake was smaller than most Rex, but there was a quiet solidity to him, the way he met Zethar's gaze, without fear or hesitation. I've brought 3 ships, 200 soldiers. Jake's eyes widened. That's more help than we've seen in days. They walked through the ship's corridors, where humans, some barely adults, worked tirelessly, fixing systems, hauling supplies, tending to the wounded, each movement purposeful, every face set with grim hope. 4,000 on the colony ships, Jake said, mostly families. New Dawn's crew is 300. Our last military ship. Zithar's confusion deepened. Where are your other warships? Jake's face darkened. This mission wasn't about fighting. We came to build homes. Our escorts were lost, one barely hanging on. They reached a commandeered cargo bay, now the nerve center. Maps of local space covered the walls. At the center, a table strewn with star charts. This is Dr. Lisa Ward, our chief medical officer. Jake introduced a woman treating a wounded soldier, and Staff Sergeant Ben Tucker, security. Ben nodded without pause, focused on weapon maintenance. Lisa glanced up, calm but intense. We have wounded wrecks in Med Bay 3, she said. Your men were hurt in the fighter attack. Zethar's disbelief was raw. You treated my soldiers? Of course, she replied simply. They were bleeding, but they are not our kind. Lisa looked at him like he'd lost his mind. So what? They needed help. In Rex culture, aiding others came last. But here, on this battered ship, humanity's compassion was raw and immediate. Jake pointed to a star chart. Hive Mind still has 15 ships. We've got your 3 plus what's left of mine. We don't have the numbers. They do not negotiate, Zithar said. They only consume and destroy. We've seen their cruelty firsthand. Lisa stepped forward, asking detailed questions about Vrex biology, how to treat wounds, medicines to avoid. For an hour, she scribbled notes with unwavering focus. Why do this? Zithar asked. Because I'm a doctor. It's my job to help. But we are not your people, not anymore. Zethar watched them, humans who fought not just for survival, but to protect others, even strangers, even aliens. Then alarms shattered the moment. 3 ships approaching from the asteroid belt. The comms officer warned. Jake called. Battle stations. Ben Tucker grabbed his rifle, grinning. Want to see how humans fight? The battle was brutal but brief. Scout ships raked the New Dawn with plasma fire. One gunner went down, his arm burned raw, but another stepped up immediately. The wounded man crawled to Lisa's care, where she worked quickly, determination etched on her face. Keep firing, Ben roared. Don't let them touch the colony ships. Zethar stood in awe. These humans fought for lives they might never see, children, families, innocent civilians. When the last scout ship was destroyed, the damage was clear. New Dawn's engines limped at 60%. Damage control to Deck 7, Jake ordered. Lisa treated a wrecked soldier burned by an exploding conduit. He grimaced, but accepted the pain. It hurts. Pain is acceptable, he said. Lisa smiled softly. I'm going to make it better anyway. Zeta understood something profound. These humans did not just fight to live. They fought to protect, even when it meant risking everything for strangers, even aliens. This was not weakness. This was something else, something Zithar was beginning to understand might be far more dangerous. The asteroid field around Kepler-7 was perfect for hiding. Massive rocks drifted through space like silent sentinels, some as large as cities, others small enough to clutch in a fist. The human and Vreg ships weaved carefully between them, like fish darting through a coral reef. Zethar stood in New Dawn's command center, watching the tactical displays. The plan was simple. Wait for the hive mind to come. When they did, the Allied ships would strike from the cover of the asteroids. It was a good plan, a smart plan. But humans, Zethar was learning, did not always choose smart. Commander Ryan Clark is requesting permission to move his squadron closer to the hive mind's lead ship. Jake Morrison said from the captain's chair. How close? Zethar asked. About 2 kilometers. Zethar's scales chilled. That's suicide. The hive mind's weapons will tear them apart before they get within range. Ryan knows. He wants to do it anyway. Ryan Clark appeared on the comm screen, a young man with red hair and steady green eyes. Calm, too calm for someone rushing toward death. "Commander Zeta," he said, "I need your ships to create a distraction. Draw the hive mind fleet north. My squadron will hit them from the south." "Your fighters won't survive that close to their capital ships," Zeta warned. "Maybe not, but we'll do damage before we fall. This is illogical. You'll die for no gain." Ryan smiled, a sad, hard smile. "Sir, with respect, you don't understand humans yet. We don't fight just to live. We fight so others can live." The comm ended. Zeta turned to Jake. "You're letting him do this?" "I can't stop him," Jake said, "and I wouldn't if I could." Ryan's right. If we play it safe, the hive mind will crush us eventually. We need to strike hard, fast, before they adapt. Your people are reckless, maybe, but we're still alive. The battle began an hour later. Zeta's ships charged toward the hive mind fleet. The enemy vessels were monstrous black metal, covered in spikes and gun ports, like spaceborne nightmares. "All ships, engage," Zathar ordered. Vrex weapons blazed, hitting with deadly precision. The hive mind fired back plasma bolts, lighting the dark between asteroids like deadly lightning. "Ryan's squadron is moving," Jake said. 12 tiny human fighters darted forward insignificant specks against the giant enemy ships. One pilot's voice came over the comm. Kate Sullivan. Blonde hair, blue eyes, and too much of a smile for someone about to die. "I'm going for their lead ship's engines," she said. "If I disable them, the rest of the fleet gets easier." "Kate, that's suicide! Get out of there!" Ryan shouted. "My ship's already busted. Might as well make it count." Zeta watched her dive through a storm of plasma fire. Hits tore through her ship. Smoke poured from the engines. Still, she pressed forward. "She's going to die," Dr. Lisa Ward said softly beside him. "Yes," Zeta said, "but she knows it. Why does she keep going?" "There are 3,000 children on the colony ships. Kate's little sister is one of them." Kate's fighter burned, half her weapons offline, but she kept flying straight at the enemy ship. "Tell my sister I love her," she said over the radio. Then she rammed the hive mind's engine block. The explosion lit space like a miniature sun. The capital ship's engines died. It drifted, powerless. "Kate's down," Ryan reported, "but I see her escape pod. I'm going after her." Another pilot said, "Negative. Too dangerous." "We don't leave people behind," the pilot replied. 3 fighters broke formation, flying into the heart of the hive mind fleet. Enemy fire shredded 2 immediately. The 3rd reached Kate's pod. "Got her," the pilot said. "Kate's unconscious, but alive. Get out now, Murphy," Ryan ordered. But Murphy's ship was too damaged to escape. It exploded in the fireball. "Murphy's gone," a voice said quietly. "He saved Kate," another said. "She's safe." Zeta did not understand. Murphy died for one person, someone who had already done her part. In Vrex culture, this was wasteful, inefficient, but humans didn't see it that way. They saw it as necessary, as right. They would die for each other, without question. The battle raged for 3 hours. The humans fought like nothing Zatar had ever witnessed. They took wild risks. They shielded each other. They never retreated even when retreat was the wise choice. By the end, half the hive mind fleet was destroyed or crippled. Human losses were heavy. 6 fighters gone, dozens dead or wounded. "We won," Jake said as the last enemy ship fled. "You call this winning?" Zatar asked. "You lost too many. We saved the colony ships. 4,000 civilians are alive. That's what counts." Dr. Lisa Ward worked in the medical bay treating humans and Vrex alike. She worked 18 hours straight without rest. When Zither asked why she pushed so hard, she said simply, "Because they need me." That night, Zeta sat alone in his quarters thinking. The humans fought without fear. No, that was wrong. They fought with fear, terrified, but they fought anyway. They fought because they loved each other, because they couldn't bear to lose the ones they cared for, because leaving someone behind was worse than dying. This was not weakness. This was something else, something more dangerous than any weapon. Zeta was starting to understand what human terror truly meant. It was not the fear of death, it was the fear of failing to protect those you love. And that fear made them capable of anything. Where silent Sith, Zeta stood in his ship's airlock, staring through thick glass at the enemy vessel. He was about to do something dangerously reckless, something that defied all military protocol. "Are you sure about this?" Jake Morrison's voice came over comms. "No," Sitar admitted, "but we need to understand what we're fighting, how they think." The strike team was small 6 in total, 3 humans, 3 Vrex. Jake Morrison was with them, alongside Marine Lance Corporal Danny Fostera, serious young man with brown hair, carrying his weapon like he meant business. The third human was Amy Collins. She had survived her fighter crash and insisted on joining. "My brother is on that ship," she said. "If there's any chance he's alive, I'm going." Her brother, Tom Collins, was a Marine captain captured 3 days earlier. Amy's short red hair and fierce green eyes showed a fire no one could touch. The 3 Vrex soldiers were battle-hardened veterans of the hive mind wars. Still, Zeta saw fear in their eyes. The airlock hissed open. The strike team floated across the void, magnetic boots clanging on the alien hull. The sound echoed weirdly in the vacuum. "Cutting through now," Danny reported, plasma torch glowing as he burned a hole through the ship's outer wall. The metal heated from red to white, then melted away. Inside the hive mind ship, everything was wrong. Corridors twisted impossibly tight, walls curved in strange, unnatural ways. The air smelled of death and something sickly sweet that made Zeta's stomach churn. "Stay close," Jake whispered. "Don't touch anything." They moved slowly. The walls pulsed with a faint, eerie light. A strange, dried substance coated the surfaces like dried blood. Danny's scanner beeped softly. "Life signs," he said, "but not normal. The patterns, they're all wrong." "What do you mean wrong?" Amy asked. "Alive, but not alive." 20 minutes later, they found the first conversion chamber, a large room full of metal tables with restraints, tubes, and wires. Medical equipment, but not for healing. "Oh God," Amy whispered. The tables held bodies, human, Vrex, others unknown. All were still alive, but parts had been replaced by machines' metal limbs, computer eyes, wires running beneath skin like veins. But worst of all were their faces. Awake, aware, knowing exactly what was happening. "Help me," a voice whispered, coming from a speaker in a human woman's throat. "Please, help me." Danny raised his weapon, but Jake stopped him. "We can't. They're still people." "They're not people," one Vrex said. "They're drones." "No," Amy said, looking at the woman. "She's still in there. Can't you see? She's still human inside." The woman's metal eyes met Amy's. "It hurts," she said. "It hurts so much. Please make it stop." Zeta felt ice crawl through him. This was not death. It was worse. The hive mind kept their victims alive, conscious, while turning them into machines. "We need to keep moving," Jake said, voice tight. "Find the main computer core." They left the chamber behind, but the woman's face haunted Zetar. The metal eyes, the plea. The next room was worse, filled with completed drone humans, Vrex, others all linked to a central computer. Their eyes glowed green. They moved like parts of a single terrible machine. When the strike team entered, the drones turned and looked. And in their glowing eyes, Sata saw the unthinkable. The people they once were, trapped inside, still aware, still screaming. "Amy," one of the drones, said, his voice hoarse but unmistakably familiar. It was a human male in a Marine uniform. "Amy, is that you?" Amy dropped her weapon, eyes wide. "Tom, "Tom, is that really you?" "I'm here, Amy," he replied. "But I don't control my body anymore. They've made me into this thing." The drone that had been Tom Collins shuffled toward them, movements jerky and unnatural, but his voice still carried the man she knew. "You have to destroy this ship," Tom said, voice trembling. "All of us who are still trapped inside, aware but powerless. They make us do things, terrible things." Amy's eyes filled with tears. "We can save you. We'll find a way to reverse this." "No, Amy. There's no going back once they've taken this much. You have to end it, make sure no one else suffers like we have." More drones advanced. Weapons fused to their bodies, guns where hands once were, missiles where shoulders should have been. "Amy, please," Tom pleaded. "I'm losing control. They're taking over again." "I can't," Amy whispered, shaking. "I can't kill my own brother." "You have to," he said quietly, eyes pleading. "This isn't living. This is hell." The drones opened fire. Jake grabbed Amy, pulling her behind cover. Danny and the Vrex soldiers returned fire. Their weapons tore through the enemy ranks, but more kept coming. "The self-destruct," Tom shouted. "There's a manual override in the engine room. If you reach it, you can destroy the ship." "What about you?" Amy called out. "What about everyone else?" "We're already dead, Amy," he said. "We died the moment they took us. Please, don't let this happen to anyone else." The firefight was brutal. The drones moved with ruthless precision, feeling no pain, showing no fear, just relentless attack until their bodies were shattered beyond repair. Yet sometimes, just for a moment, Star caught a glimpse of their former selves, a flash of recognition in their eyes, a silent scream trapped inside. When the shooting finally ceased, Tom Collins still stood, damaged, barely functional, but still aware. "Go," he said to Amy. "Go now, before more come." Amy looked at him, tears streaming down her face. "I love you, Tom. I love you too. Now go save the others." The strike team sprinted toward the engine room. Behind them, the relentless sound of metal feet and mechanical whirs echoed as more drones approached. Inside the engine room, Danny worked frantically to activate the manual override while the others held the door. "Almost there," Danny said, sweat beading on his brow. "Just a few more seconds." Suddenly, the door blew inward. Dozens of drones surged in, weapons charging, eyes glowing with deadly intent. "Danny," Jake yelled. "Now!" Danny slammed his hand onto the override. The ship's engines began to overload. Warning lights flashed. Alarms screamed. The drones froze, turning toward the strike team man for one brief haunting moment. Their eyes looked human again. "Thank you," they whispered in unison. Then a chilling, eerie smile spread across their faces. The strike team barely escaped as the hive mind vessel exploded, burning like a miniature star before fading to black. Amy curled into a corner of the shuttle, silent tears streaming down her face. Jake placed a steady hand on her shoulder but said nothing. Star stared out the window at the floating wreckage, the truth settling heavy in his mind. The hive mind was more than death. It was the annihilation of everything that made someone, human or Brex, or any other species. And the only way to stop it was to make sure no one else ever suffered what Tom Collins endured. This was why humans fought with such fierce resolve. This was why they sacrificed everything for each other. They had glimpsed the nightmare waiting on the other side, and they would do anything to prevent it. The last stand at Haven, the space station called Haven, was their final hope. Old and battered, but shielded by thick walls and nestled deep within a dense asteroid field, it was their last chance to hold the hive mind at bay. Zeta stood on the command deck, watching the enemy fleet mass outside, hundreds of ships moving like a swarm of angry insects. "How many?" Jake Morrison asked from the tactical display. "Too many," Zeta replied. "At least 300, maybe more. And we have, what, 30 ships and a broken station?" "The station's weapons still work, most of them." Jake nodded grimly. Everyone knew the truth. They were going to lose. This was their final battle, and they were going to die. In the medical bay, Dr. Lisa Ward tended to the wounded, both human and Rex. Patients lay on stretchers, spilling into the corridors. She had been awake for over 36 hours, moving tirelessly from one patient to the next. "Doctor, you need to rest," one assistant urged. "I can't," Lisa said, bandaging a Rex soldier's bleeding arm. "Too many need me. You'll collapse." "Then I'll collapse. But not until everyone is cared for." Zatar watched her work small, exhausted but unyielding. She treated every patient like they were the most important person in the universe no matter their species. Ben Tucker was in the armory, checking weapons and ammo. His leg was bandaged from a recent injury, but he refused to stay in the med bay. "How are we on supplies?" Zatar asked. "Not good," Ben replied. 6 hours of heavy fighting left, maybe less. After that, we fight with whatever we can find. Knives, rocks, bare hands if we have to. You'd fight with rocks against plasma weapons? If that's what it takes. Young Danny Foster helped evacuate civilians carrying children, assisting the elderly to the cramped escape pods. "Danny, get on a pod," Jake urged. "Get out while you still can." "No, sir. I'm staying. My job is to protect these people. You're only 22. You have your whole life ahead of you. I want to spend it making sure kids like these get to grow up." At dawn, the first wave of hive mind ships slammed into Haven. The battle was brutal. The station's weapons roared, cutting down enemy vessels, but for every one destroyed, 3 more filled the void. "Hull breach on deck 7, a voice shouted. "Sealing emergency doors," came the reply. "Direct hit on the main reactor, switching to backup power. They're boarding docking bay 3. Zeta rushed to docking bay 3 with a squad of Rex soldiers. Ben Tucker and 20 human Marines were already locked in fierce combat. Hive mind drones swarmed through the airlock, their weapons flashing in the darkness. "Hold the line," Ben shouted. "Don't let them reach the civilians." The fight was savage. The drones felt no pain, no fear, just endless assault. One drone lost both arms, but kept fighting with blades that sprouted from its chest. A plasma bolt tore into Ben's shoulder. He spun and fell, but kept firing. "Ben," Danny yelled. "You're hit." "I'm fine," Ben gasped, blood soaking his uniform. "Just keep shooting." Dr. Lisa Ward appeared at the battle's edge, rushing to aid wounded Marines. "Lisa, get back," Jake shouted. "It's too dangerous. I have to help them," she cried. A drone spotted her and raised its weapon. Zeta fired, but more swarmed in. Lisa was trapped. Ben saw and pushed himself to his feet, staggering toward her. A plasma bolt flew. Ben threw himself in front of Lisa. The blast hit his chest. He collapsed, unmoving. "Ben!" Lisa screamed. She crawled to him, trying to stem the bleeding, but it was too deep. "Take care of the others," Ben whispered. "Don't waste time on me. I'm not leaving you. You have to. There are too many who need you." Ben Tucker died holding her hand, 28 years old, a soldier for 6 years, a man who died protecting someone he barely knew. The battle for Docking Bay 3 raged for 4 hours. 37 humans and Rex fell. The med bay overflowed with wounded. Danny Foster bore a plasma burn across his face, but lived. "We can't hold them," Jake said quietly. "They're too strong." "Then we evacuate," Zatar said. "Save who we can." "No," Jake shook his head. "If we run, they'll follow. The colony ships can't outrun them." "Then what do you suggest?" "We make our stand here. Hold them off long enough for evac ships to escape. That's suicide. Maybe. But it's the right thing to do." Dr. Lisa Ward wiped tears from her eyes. Ben Tucker's death weighed heavily on her. "Doctor," a young Rex soldier asked, "why do you cry for Ben?" "He wasn't your family. He was my friend," Lisa said softly. "And he died saving me." "But he was just one person." "No," she whispered, voice trembling. "He was a good person, and the universe is darker without him." The evacuation continued through the long, dark night. Parents clung to their children, whispering desperate goodbyes. The elderly were gently helped into escape pods. Eyes full of sorrow and hope, the young volunteered to stay behind to fight. Danny Foster was loading the last pod when a small hand slipped into his. A little girl, no older than 6, looked up at him with wide, fearful eyes. "Are you coming with us?" she asked quietly. Danny smiled beneath his bandaged, burn-scarred face. "No, sweetheart. I have to stay here." "Why?" "Because someone has to keep you safe." "Will I see you again?" "Maybe someday," he said softly. "If we're very lucky." She was lifted into the pod, the doors sealed shut. The pod launched silently, disappearing into the endless stars. Zithar stood watching the evacuation ships vanish into the void. He thought of Ben Tucker, the man who had died to save a stranger. He thought of Dr. Lisa Ward, who cried for a life not even her own. He thought of Danny Foster promising a frightened child safety he might never deliver. These humans were unlike anything Zatar had ever known. They didn't fight because they were fearless. They fought because they were terrified, afraid of losing the people they loved, afraid of failing to protect the innocent, and that fear, so terrible, so beautiful, made them capable of anything. The final battle was coming. The hive mind prepared its last assault, but Zitha no longer feared death. He had learned something from the humans. Sometimes the most important thing you can do is stand between the darkness and the light. Even if it kills you, especially if it kills you. The command center was deathly quiet, broken only by the soft hum of computers. Jake Morrison sat slumped in his captain's chair, staring at the tactical display. The hive mind fleet had stopped moving, hovering just beyond weapon range, predators waiting patiently for the kill. "They know we're trapped," Jake muttered, voice heavy. Sitar stood beside him, eyes fixed on the alien formation. "They want the station intact," Zatar said grimly. "Why?" Jake asked. "Because we're here," Zatar answered. "Because they want to convert us all." Dr. Lisa Ward entered, exhaustion written across her blood-stained coat. Her eyes, however, burned with a fierce determination. "Jake," she said, "I need to talk to you." "What is it, Lisa?" She activated a screen, revealing haunting surveillance footage from the hive mind ship they had infiltrated. Conversion chambers, people strapped down, writhing helplessly as machines consumed their flesh. "They keep their victims conscious," Lisa said quietly. "They preserve the original mind, while building monsters out of flesh and metal. That's what makes them truly monstrous," Jake said, voice low. "Yes, but it's also their weakness." Jake frowned. "What are you suggesting?" "What if we showed the galaxy the truth? What if we broadcast the conversion process live?" Zathar's scales prickled cold. "You want to let them capture someone?" "I want to volunteer," Lisa said firmly. Jake shot to his feet. "Absolutely not." "Listen," Lisa said, voice unwavering. "Most of the galaxy still thinks this is just a human problem. But if others see their own people being converted, if they witness it in real time, they won't be able to ignore it. They'll have no choice but to fight." Jake shook his head. "It's too dangerous. Even if it works, you'll be dead." "I'll be worse than dead," Lisa said. "But it might save billions." A young voice spoke up, Sam Peterson, the communications officer. "Dr. Ward," he said, "I can broadcast the signal across every galactic network. My equipment reaches every inhabited system." "Sam, no," Jake snapped. "You're just a kid." "I'm old enough to serve on this ship," Sam replied. "Old enough to help save the galaxy." Jake hesitated. "But the hive mind will target the comm center first," Jake warned. "If you broadcast their conversion, they'll come for you." "Then I'll broadcast until they stop me." Danny limped into the room, his legs still healing but his spirit unbroken. "What's the plan?" Jake explained. Danny listened quietly, then nodded. "It could work, but we'll need someone to volunteer for conversion hand, someone to protect the broadcast." "I already volunteered," Lisa said. "I'll handle the broadcast," Sam added. "I'll protect Sam," Danny said firmly. "Make sure he gets the signal out." Jake looked around at the young, scared, determined faces. "You're all insane," he said bitterly. "There has to be another way." "Name one," Lisa challenged. Jake was silent. "We have 30 ships against 300, Lisa continued. "We're out of ammo, out of time. The only weapon left is the truth." Zetar absorbed her words in silence. The plan was terrifying, but maybe, "I will help," he said quietly. "Zetar, no," Jake protested. "You don't understand what you're agreeing to." "I understand perfectly," Zetar replied. "The doctor is right. This may be our only chance, but you could die." "I am already dead," Zetar said, "unless we try something desperate." The plan was simple and terrible. Lisa would surrender herself. Sam would broadcast the conversion live across the galaxy. Danny and Zetar would hold the comm center as long as possible. "I need to record a message first," Lisa said. She sat before the camera, looking directly into the lenscom, resolute. "My name is Dr. Lisa Ward, Chief Medical Officer of the Human Colony Mission to Kepler-7. What you are about to see is the truth about the hive mind. They don't just kill their victims, they preserve their consciousness, converting them into machines. These people are still aware, still able to think and feel, but they no longer control their own bodies. I am volunteering to undergo this conversion so the galaxy can see what happens to those captured. This is not just a human problem, it is a threat to all life. If you do nothing today, you will face the same fate tomorrow." Her message uploaded to Sam's system, ready to accompany the live broadcast. Jake looked at her. "Are you ready?" "No," she said, "but I'm doing it anyway." A shuttle waited at the airlock, small and fragile against the dark. She stepped aboard, knowing she was walking into the heart of the enemy. "Thank you, Lisa," Jake said softly. "Don't thank me yet," she replied. "Thank me when the galaxy is safe." The shuttle launched, a lone beacon of hope against the coming storm. Back on the station, Sam began the broadcast. "This is Sam Peterson, transmitting from Haven Station. What you are about to see is the truth about the hive mind. Please share this message with everyone you know." Almost instantly, the hive mind fleet detected the signal. "They're coming," Danny reported, eyes scanning the tactical display. "Estimate 10 minutes until impact." "Keep broadcasting," Jake ordered, voice steady but fierce. "No matter what happens, don't stop." Lisa's shuttle reached the heart of the hive mind fleet. She was dragged aboard one of their ships, surrounded by cold alien machinery. The conversion process began without mercy. Cameras still active on a shuttle transmitted everything in real time. Across the galaxy, millions watched in horrified silence. They saw Dr. Lisa Ward strapped to the conversion table, helpless, defiant. They saw the machines cutting into her flesh, the metal fusing to her nervous system. They heard her scream raw and desperate, but through the pain, her voice held on, clear and human. "This is what they do," she gasped. "This is what happens to everyone they capture. Please don't let this happen to anyone else." The broadcast went on for 30 excruciating minutes. From the farthest reaches of the galaxy, beings of every kind watched, hearts breaking. And then the silence shattered with hope. "The Andorian fleet is moving to assist," Sam shouted over the comm. "The Crystalline Empire is sending ships." The Omega Confederation just mobilized their entire navy. Jake turned sharply to Sam. "How many?" "Hundreds, maybe thousands. They're coming from everywhere." The hive mind had made a fatal mistake. They had revealed themselves to the galaxy, their true horror, their monstrous nature. And now every species, with ships, with weapons, with hope, was racing to Kepler-7. But first, the defenders at Haven would have to hold on to survive long enough for the reinforcements to arrive. And somewhere deep within a hive mind ship, Dr. Lisa Ward was still screaming.